How were you able to get your team to believe again in order to do what they did?
I don't know. We've been talking about it for a couple weeks, and in situations like that, we talk about creating our own energy. We talk about belief. We talk about practice habits and going on the road. There was a definite difference in the sideline from an energy standpoint in pregame. So, I couldn't be prouder of these guys and the coaching staff to go in a situation where the odds were stacked against us, and to practice the way they practiced this week and stay focused, particularly on the road in this environment. It's a great environment to play and handle things the way they did from start to finish. That's a complete team and coaching staff effort.
What did you see in how Kyle managed the game, especially to start getting the touchdown passes?
Yeah, I said a week ago, Kate, we learned more about Kyle a week ago, and Kyle learned more about Kyle in that game. And so our ability to really get back and operate in our offense, we played a couple different tempos. We played our normal fast tempo early in the game and got to a lead really throughout the game. And then, we're able to utilize some of our two-back and tight end run sets to maybe not score as many points, but to move the football enough. We would like to have 2 touchdowns in the second half, but the 2 field goals were big, considering the score, particularly the time we were able to run off the clock and be efficient with the running game. So, I think he made some strides, obviously, during the week of preparation. But like I said, the knowledge of him in games, he was a lot more relaxed tonight than he was a week ago, believe it or not. And I think that showed.
Coach, did you see something in the tapes that you watched against Louisiana in a row that gave you confidence that you guys would play this well today? Because on Tuesday you said that you felt really good about your team's approach, and I don't know that a whole lot of fans felt that great about you guys coming in here and being able to do what you did today.
A whole lot of fans? I said that in our running game, because of what we did a week ago, stylistically it was different than what we've done in the past. And there were more yards in the running game a week ago than we had, whether it was the running back, whether it was our offensive line, it was a little thing here or there. We were just a little bit out of sync. So, it's something that we made a concentrated effort on, and I think that paid off from a coaching standpoint and from a playing standpoint. Our running backs ran hard. I thought our offensive line gave us a chance. We weren't perfect. You guys know us. We're looking to be efficient in the run game. I thought we were able to do that well enough. What we've got to be able to do is get better at the end of the game to close it out, get that ball off that goal line. Which you get a couple first downs there, and then the events at the end don't have to happen. So, there's always room for improvement, but I think the lesson learned is the preparation and the focus and the intensity level to play, particularly in this league, is not something you turn on and off. And to come here and win, it should be a great lesson for a team. And when you got young guys, this is what we challenged them a few minutes ago on is being a mature team. How do you grow up? We won 5 in a row, we lost 3 in a row, and during that stretch, we didn't handle things very, very well. And so now the challenge is, okay, this is a really, really good win for this team and for this program, but how do you handle it moving forward? How are we going to handle this week? Are we going to handle this week as players, off the field, on the field, the way we handled it last week? And if we can do that, then your team's growing up. Does that mean you're going to win all your games? You got a good chance, but how you play matters. And I think that's the lesson to be learned tonight from young players.
Kevin, you've been involved with a lot of crazy finishes in your career. This
this set a new standard with what you had to deal with?
Yeah, there was a lot going on. You know, a lot of stoppages, a lot of further reviews. So, you know, that can be nerve-wracking, but you know, that's going to happen in big games and close games, and so, you know, ball bounced our way tonight.
What you see in Miles Garrett, his play today, and in particular the block to go book in?
Yeah, I mean, Miles is playing hard, and you know, he's one of the leaders in the country in sacks. They did some things to him early. They tried to neutralize him with some protections, but he was still fighting, and he got hurt on one play which was a holding call, and really left the third quarter. And we gave up some. You know, he's a guy that's able to play the quarterback read and almost play it by himself, the run and the quarterback, because of his length and his ability to run. So, you know, that hurt us with him being out. You know, he came back in the game in the fourth quarter and gave us a spark. But you know, for a young player, he's as dynamic as I've ever been around from a defensive standpoint, and his stats speak for themselves. He's one of the tops in the country in sacks, and you know, we actually had a specific scheme to try to get him free today on the block field goal. And again, he didn't disappoint. You know, and the scoop and score was obviously one of the bigger plays of the game.
So had y'all seen something that made you feel like you'd be able to block a little bit?
You know, we go in every week with different things to try to create some matchup difficulties. You could put it that way, and so there's something that we worked on that you know, and it's always good when those things work out during a game, particularly in that situation. We've been awful close. You know, early in the year where we blocked 2 or 3 field goals right to start the year. We've had our hands on a couple, but we haven't gotten one blocked on the other side. And we got one blocked tonight that got down on their side and got the scoop and score.
Couple more. Seems like you talked about Malcolm Kennedy as an emotional leader, but it's kind of hard to lead when you're not doing as well. But he had a huge game tonight. It seemed like the team kind of followed suit.
Yeah, Malcolm, interestingly enough, you know, kind of like he did early in the year, started speaking up again and really used himself as an example to the players and how he was going to play. And you know, once I heard that, I knew it's something we've been missing. And it's hard to be that guy when you're hurt. And you know, during that stretch of time, and even tonight, he's hurting a little bit, but this is as good as he's felt. And you know, I thought he led before the game. He led by example during the game, and that's a guy that we saw the first 5 weeks of the season.
And then a guy like Alonzo Williams, who's persevered to come out with the ball at the end. How happy were you?
Yeah, I'm really happy for him. You know, I don't know, he came out. He went back in. I saw him put a knee brace on, go back in the game. I mean, you know, it was a rough deal in there, and you know, we were running out of guys because I left before half, and he couldn't come back. But one time, Zakoven and he were on the ground, you know, so it was a rough situation in there. And you know, Ivan's a guy who. You know, he came here as a 250-pound guy. We took the red shirt off of him, I don't know, game 6 or 7 as a freshman, you know, and sat him down and talked to him, said, hey, look, you know, and he said, I want to play. And so he's moved from end to 3 technique, and now he's playing some nose, and he's 300 pounds, and a guy that unfortunately we couldn't redshirt the first year, you know, but he has played a lot of football for us, and really a leader by example and a tough guy right there in the middle. And you know, he's another guy you can point to that has really stepped his game up in there, and we need him.